Mom and Dad, are you ready?
Today's word is stupendous.
You need some encouragement.
Stupendous marriage encouragement.
You need some inspiration.
Girl, you need to be telling them to, get off their butts and get to cleaning.
You're listening to the Stupendous Marriage Show.
With our friends Stu and Lisa Gray.
I'm gonna love that word. Stupendous.
The Stupendous Marriage Show.
Hey there, it's the Stupendous Marriage Show. I'm Stu Gray.
Hey, I'm Lisa Gray.
If you're new here at the Stupendous Marriage Show, this is a show where we answer questions about marriage, whatever they might be. You send them to us at onair@stupendousmarriage.com, or you can go to our website, stupendousmarriage.com, and click on the big blue button and send them our way. So how are you? What's going on?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? It got cold here today. It's so weird. I've had two different people say to me over the past couple days, what happened to fall? Like it went from summer to where we were 80s and 90s degrees to 50s. And I opened the door this morning when I let the dog out, and I was like, it was 40-something degrees. And I was like, what happened?
Yeah, but see, I'm a Kansas boy, so this feels like fall to me. Everybody in Tennessee is like, oh no, it's so cold. It's like, this is nothing, growing up in the Midwest. It's just this feels like fall to me. Now all the leaves can change color, and none of that has happened yet. So I'm ready for all of that to happen, but I'm ready for the rain to be done too.
Well, and that's the thing. It doesn't look like it's fall. All the leaves haven't fallen. It's not even started really to fall a whole bunch. And so
I guess
I'm like, what? What's going on with a 50-degree high today or something? So I will be all bundled up inside trying to stay warm because I'm a big baby like that.
Last week we were traveling. We had a shorter show because we went on a field trip with our son's school group to the Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum right around Cincinnati, Ohio. And it was a good couple days, good group of kids, and learned some cool stuff. The Ark thing is amazing.
Are you feeling differently about it? Because before we went, you were pretty disappointed.
Yeah, I literally thought, okay, this is what I thought. I thought there would be live animals on the Ark. I don't know why you think that's funny, because I thought it was like zoo on a boat, but it was not. There were animals there. They were outside, it was like a petting zoo type thing, but they were not on the boat proper. It was more like a museum walking around the Ark. I don't know why I thought that. I just thought that, Noah and the Ark and animals on a boat. That's what I thought it would be.
When you said that, I looked at really? You really think that? And you didn't believe me. I had to pull it up online to show you. Hun, there's not live animals on this boat, which makes complete sense because it would smell so nasty if there were animals on there because there's no windows. It is
right.
It is beautiful. It is a huge life-size ark. It's what it would have looked like when Noah built it, and you go inside of it.
Yeah, their representation of what they thought it could look like, absolutely, right. Which is really crazy cool.
And so it's huge.
Yeah, it is. Multiple floors, all sorts of, biblical history and things like that. It's really, really interesting, and you could spend hours and hours and hours in there, and with a group of 60 kids, we couldn't quite do that. We were more managing the chaos than really spending time, so it might be something that we go back and do for ourselves.
Yeah, I enjoyed that probably more than the Creation Museum. The Creation Museum was just odd for me. You walk through and it felt very cave-ish. You walk through and they had these different scenes. And there was one scene where Adam and Eve were in a hot tub. That's what it looked like. They were in a hot tub together. And it made me
happy. I was like, yay, they believe that Adam and Eve took baths together. Yay! Yay! But of course, again, you're with 7th graders, so that was probably awkward and strange and weird. They're the weird kind of animated kind of robot people, so that's also kind of odd and strange.
It was very strange to me. It is not something I would probably do again, the Creation Museum. I'm sure it's really interesting for the historic piece. I did not slow down because I was following all these 7th graders, so I did not slow down to read every little thing to know what they were talking about. But when I got to that part where they had these different scenes of what Adam and Eve might have been doing, yeah, it was just, when I saw the tub, I was like, that's just weird. Why? Why do we have to talk about them bathing together? I don't know.
You make it sound like it was a tub. It wasn't a tub. It was supposed to be like a fountain flowing, running water. It was more that type of thing, in a cave type thing. Not really.
It looked like a tub.
Not in the bathtub. It really wasn't that.
but it looked like a tub. So it was very strange to me.
But it was a good trip overall, a good group of kids, and I think they had a really, really good time and just had fun with their friends, and we had a good time with our son. So it was good stuff.
And hopefully, I mean, I think everybody's recuperated now, but I was like exhausted for 2 days because it was just nonstop. I mean, we left here at 6:30 in the morning. We didn't get to the hotel that night, including, 5-hour drive until 8 o'clock.
And we walked around that day, for 4 hours of the
yeah.
Ark. And then the next day we got up bright and early and then went to the Creation Museum all day and then drove home.
Right.
So it was a very fast, intense trip.
Yeah, I was like, oh my word. I'm glad I really didn't want to think of it as a trip, like going to relax, because I was exhausted by the time I got home. But I was glad I got to go.
Me too. We got an email coming up. We're glad you're here. Our email from onair@stupendousmarriage.com is this. My husband and stepson never pick up after themselves. They never put anything away, including things in the yard. I clean it up because we have a small home and I have to keep it tidy, but when is it enough to say, I've had it? I need someone to help me clean up. May I ask, do other wives have this same issue?
Oh my word, girl. You are talking to the right people.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Yes. Yes, honey, what?
It's not just one-sided. You also leave things out all over the place. We're not the people to answer this really well because, I mean, the piles and things in our house, yeah. So we invite people over. We have small group at our house. We have events at our house, and our house looks great on those days.
Right.
And then on other days, not so much.
Okay, this is the deal. I think that so many people think that the woman is responsible for...
Woman.
Right. I'm serious. I mean, and that was like in the 50s and 60s,
Yeah, right.
that women stayed home and they were full-time housekeepers. I think somewhere on an unconscious level, a lot of men go into marriage thinking that, especially if their mom at all was the primary household manager person, expecting their wife to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine if that's what you guys discuss and figure out. But I don't know why in our society it is completely acceptable to think that the woman in the house is the person responsible for keeping the house up. And I know you and I have talked about this. We've talked about the fact that, like, my level of it being messy and your level of it being messy are two different things.
Right.
It bugs me a lot sooner than it does you. And so I think that's part of our dynamic, you and I's dynamic.
Sure.
But in this situation, I got to say, I don't know how old her stepson is, but I'm just like, girl, you need to be telling them to, like, get off their butts and get to cleaning, pick up after themselves.
So I also think there's been a change in marriage culturally where a lot of women have gone to work and a lot of guys have taken on the household manager stay-at-home job. In our culture, that is a dynamic that has changed. And with that dynamic change in the workforce, that means the dynamic change has to change in the house too, where if the wife is doing more work outside of the home, the husband in turn should raise his responsibility, and it should look like more work in household management on his end. But I don't know if that's their dynamic or if she's just frustrated in general by what he and her stepson are doing.
Well, and the thing is I think this is an area in a lot of families that you kind of fly by the seat of your pants. Whoever has capacity to do it or it's important to kind of takes it on. And unfortunately, some resentment can build up if that's the case. Instead of really sitting down together and going, okay, the household management position involves cleaning the house, maintaining the house, grocery shopping, getting the kids from point A to point B. All those things have to happen as a couple, as a married couple. All those types of things have to happen. Who is doing what, and having a plan in place so that everybody's expectations can be met. Unfortunately, I know for you and I mean, there's a lot of things that I just kind of handle, and there's no official, this is what you're doing, this is what I'm doing. And at times that is a conflict for us because I'm working really hard, especially when I get busy at work. And my expectation is you're going to step up more. And when you don't, then I'm frustrated. And vice versa. When you're really busy, same thing. If I have an expectation of you still handling stuff and you're not handling it, then that can cause frustration. So really having like, hey, this is the season we're in. This is the plan that we have. Who's doing what, and strategizing together to be successful. Because it's not a me against you thing in this area. It isn't her against her husband and son. It's, hey, everybody lives here. Everybody needs to be responsible. Now, who is doing what?
What you're talking about is pretty much vision casting. And, you know, the Bible says, Proverbs, where there is no vision, people perish. And we have our history that we bring to our relationship. We have the things that we've done that haven't worked, and both of us bring those things in. And then you add a child on top of that. He's a stepson, so his mom may not have taught that either, however old he is. So it looks like there's some teaching, training, responsibility passing off to the kid that has to happen. But you got to remember with the kid, he is a kid, and guys don't develop until their mid-20s anyway. So you're probably going to have more hand-holding with him for the long run. But with husband, it seems like there needs to be vision casting and sitting down and going, I do this, you do that, I do this, you do that, this is what I want you to do, this is what I need you to do, and he on the other hand goes, well, this is what I can do, and this is what you need to do, and this is what we do, and in a loving way, and not in a bad way. Obviously, you have to figure out, again, when you're going to have the conversation, what it's going to look like, and you can use that formula, again, I feel XYZ, I feel upset, stressed, crazy about you not picking stuff up, and it hurts my feelings because I feel like I'm the only one who's picking stuff up around here. What I need from you is to step up, to do this, to do that. I would love for you to encourage your child to do this, now our child. And so I'm also going to step up in this area and help him and guide him and things along those lines. But together, we need to do X, Y, Z, not just pushing it off on him, but casting vision for where you want to go in the certain area of your marriage.
And you have to understand, as you mentioned, we all come in to marriages. It's so funny. People really focus on the lovey-dovey part of getting ready for marriage. Like are we going to hold hands? How many kids are we going to have? Where are we going to live? Man, there's
How much sex?
Exactly, yeah. And there's some basic, like, who's doing the dishes? Who's taking out the trash? That so many people don't even talk about until it's a problem. And that's a problem when you wait. And that is one of the things I think that a lot of people say at the end of marriages, when marriages are dissolving, that it was a buildup of small things oftentimes that just continues to get on your nerves and get on your nerves. And so it's like, hey, let's be proactive on the front end. Let's establish, and I know you guys are married now and you already have a kiddo living with you. So let's pause for a second and let's reevaluate. And it may be, hey, he doesn't have capacity to step in. You hire somebody. I know we've had to do that in areas of our life where it just wasn't worth the time and the effort it would take you to like do our yard. So we pay somebody. And that's just something we had to figure out in our budget to make it work.
You know, I still feel weird about that because I think that's something that we should actually be teaching our child to do. He needs to go out and make money and sweat, and because I had to do it when I was a child. I don't know if that's just a pride thing or what, but there is a responsibility piece I think that he really needs, and so I wonder about that one. Okay, but there was this article I shared on our Saturday Morning Reads email not too long ago. I have to go find it, but it's about women finding guys who do housework sexy, and it's beneficial to your marriage. And so I'll have to reshare that again in our show notes. It's just a good conversation to have, and really defining what these different pieces are and how it looks in your relationship.
Yeah, keep us posted how it goes, those conversations, and what works for you guys, because we would love to just be able to share that with other listeners. Because again, believe it or not, I think this is one of those areas that a lot of people don't even think about until it's just a bigger problem than it needs to be. But you can email us on air at stupendousmarriage.com with your question about your marriage, even just an update of what's going on in your world, how long you've been listening to the show. We would just love to hear from you and be able to connect with you via email.
I think that's it for this week. See you next time.
Bye. Yeah.
Like the show.
Yeehaw.
Share the podcast. Tell another couple.
Hold up.
So how are you, babe? How you feeling? How's things? You're up and about, which is good. Good.
Oh, my word, girl. You are I think somewhere on an unconscious level.
And good night. Thank you.
Okay, let's start over. Yeah.
Like the show? Like the show. Share the podcast. Tell your married friends.